The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
Tonight on The Agenda.
It's not just being nice to the girls and let's let the girls have the court for half an hour and then we'll get back to real sport. This is the real deal now, and people with money are figuring that out.
Then, later on The Agenda.
Humans brought mute swans to North America, partly because of their association with the monarchy in the UK. Different monarchs, including the late Queen Elizabeth, gifted a number of mute swans to Canada during her lifetime.
2024 was the inaugural season of the Professional Women's Hockey League. The WNBA, Professional Women's Basketball, announced it is expanding to add a team in Toronto. And in less than a year, Canada will see its first professional women's soccer league, the Northern Super League. Amidst this growth, are women's sports finally getting the recognition they deserve? Let's find out. On the line from Cleveland, Ohio via Skype, there's Ella Shelton, who plays defense for the professional women's hockey team in New York. And with us here in studio, Teresa Birds, head coach of women's basketball at McMaster University. Helena Rukin, co-founder and CEO of AFC Toronto and a member of the new Northern Super League. And Shireen Ahmed, senior contributor at CBC Sports and instructor of sports journalism and sports media at TMU, Toronto Metropolitan University. And it's great to have you three superstars here in our studio, and a really fabulous superstar on the line from Cleveland. Hi, to have you here as well. Shireen, I'm going to start with you. This moment in history seems to be an unprecedented moment in women's professional sports. Why is it happening now?
I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of those reasons are sitting amongst us. It's the work and the foundation that women have put in over the years. It's not to say that women's sports are new in Canada, but the professional level at which they're coming has been off the backs of so much toil and starts and stops again. But I think there's a variety of things. The level of competition is elite, the globalization of women's sports, definitely the investment and the attention. And some people with deep pockets are finally paying attention. So, and that actually is a factor and it matters. I'm not the business expert, but what I do know is the way that media has also been paying attention. So there's so many pieces that kind of feel like the engine is finally moving. All the cogs are moving together.
Gotcha. Helena, let me get you to build on that, in as much as Shireen is right. We've always had superstar female athletes around. Nancy Green is a skier in Canada. Billie Jean King was a huge superstar. Liz Manley captured the hearts of the country when she was figure skating. Penny Oleksiak, Perdita Felician. That's always been there. What's different now?
I think we also have the women in leadership now, who go like us, like our group, put in the investment of time and money, and the whole community is ready for it. The amount of support that we get building the Professional Women's Hockey League and our club in Toronto is incredible. People just can't wait for us to get started, and just the level of support and excitement and we get by women, but by everybody. It's the whole country is ready for this.
I think that's the point. It's not just women. Men support women's sports as well now. That's different.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Coach, I got to ask you, how much of the rise in excitement around the WNBA coming to Toronto is because of a young woman named Caitlin Clark?
Well, it's a lot. For sure, it's a lot. I mean, Caitlin's very, very impressive, as we all know. But as Shireen mentioned, there are a lot of impressive women that have been playing for a long time now. And, it's kind of, I was saying to Shireen earlier, it's like this bucket of water has been filled. It's the WNBA, and there's all these players that have played, and that final drop of Caitlin Clark has kind of tipped the bucket and pushed it over the edge, and now people are jumping on board. So it's wonderful to see. It's long overdue, and I think most people's opinion opinion, and hopefully it just continues to grow.
She's had a tough start in her professional basketball career. Now, you're a coach. Do you want to give her any advice on how she can do better?
I think Caitlin's doing just fine, to be honest. I mean, it's an eye-opener when you get to that level. You're not the best. You're playing with the best now. So it's going to be a learning curve for her, but she's a smart player, and I'm sure she has lots of people around her that'll help her with that learning curve.
Ella, can I start with a trivia question for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Professional Women's Hockey League, who scored the first ever goal in PWHL history?
I'm going to have to go with Ella Shelton.
I think that's right. I think that was you. How much does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible to think back to that moment and the memory I get to share with not only my teammates and my coaches, but teammates that I play against all the time now that we're not on the national team together, and my family and my support people behind me. Going back to that day, I just think like Toronto is such a place where it's close to home, and so many people came to support me. And I'm sure Toronto would have loved to have scored that first goal, but I know that the whole crowd and the entire fan base of the PWHL was supporting me and super happy to see me come up on top with that goal. And it's something that I'll remember forever. And it was quite emotional going back and seeing it in the Hall of Fame and being able to be a part of history and know that I'm making an impact today, and hopefully it's enough and I do enough for the future generations.
How old were you when you first picked up a hockey stick?
Ooh, I grew up with 3 brothers, so I think I picked it up around like 4 or 5.
And of course, you could watch them play organized hockey as they wanted to for as long as they wanted to. Did you ever assume that would be an option for you?
Great question. I don't think so. I think I just played it because I love the sport. I played a lot of sports growing up, and it was just fun to go out and do something different in each season. But hockey soon became a family favorite for all of us. And I had a lot of coaches in my youth that really believed in me and really gave me new tools and new avenues to pursue to help create my career and grow my career. And I think it was the belief in my coaches and the belief from my family that really pushed me forward. And then it wasn't until I got my first university experience that people were like, you could really go do some really big things. And from there, I've always thought of that little girl behind me and the little girl that I was like 20 plus years ago going, I would love to play at the Olympics one day and play professional one day. And it's exciting to see where it is now, and I'm so excited to see where it will go.
And here you are. Fantastic. Shireen, okay, here's my trivia question for you. Who broke the story? What journalist broke the story that the NBA, the WNBA was coming to Toronto?
That would be me.
That would be you. That's right. And since then, what's the reaction been like that you've picked up in Toronto and Points Beyond since that news?
Well, like Helena said, I've covered a lot of things in sports, and never has the reaction been unanimously positive. And because I'm at different intersections, whether it's race or gender in sports, the comments aren't always favorable. Across the board, texts, people were calling me in tears of happiness. So excited. There was athletes across the board from different sports that I've interviewed that messaged me whichever way they could, just to say we're so excited. And it's also, you see a continuation. You'll see the PWHL players go support, go support basketball or go support the Canadian women's national team that have just played to send off masters. So the crossovers are incredible. The support, not only from my colleagues in media, was also incredible. So it was a big story to get. I'm not complaining about it. It was a little bit of work, but but also to be somebody who's been in the women's sports space for such a long time, and the culmination and it's not a moment, it's a movement.
When this story broke, I presume you had a chance to talk about it with your team.
Yes.
What was the reaction?
Oh, just pure excitement, pure joy. They're young, they're young, but they've still been waiting for it for a long time too. And anybody who's sort of my vintage, we've been waiting a long time for this. So nothing but pure joy and excitement.
There is, look, I was never going to play in the National Hockey League, right? Like that just was never on. But the notion that you could dream about being in the NHL as a little kid was meaningful to me. And I presume now that's there for your players too.
Absolutely. And I mean, to aspire to that greatness it gives them hope, it gives them confidence, it gives them joy. There's nothing but good about it.
Helena, on Monday, you released the logo and the name of Toronto's first professional women's soccer team. I cannot imagine how much goes into, the logistics, the organization, the everything, into creating something new from scratch. So tell us, what does it require?
Well, we did a lot of background work on that. We worked with an agency to dig really deep about why we are doing this. So our founders came together and for a full day workshop. And you know, of course, what we want to do is create opportunities for women and girls and role models for girls. So and with that together, we brought in people from the community. We had another workshop with 35 individuals from the GTA, different backgrounds. And together with them, we again went to why are we doing this into a big workshop. And our agency put all that together, you know, presented us with a couple of options, but we all honed in on that one.
Now, there's lots of different models here, you know, individual owners owning individual teams or one owner owning all the teams. What's the soccer league going to do?
Well, Diana Madison is behind that. We all the club owners bought into her vision, and you know she has so much passion for this as a former soccer player, a superstar, and so she brought all of us together, and we formed this league together, and there's an incredible collaboration among the different club owners, the different clubs from Halifax to Vancouver.
How many clubs altogether?
6 clubs. So we have Halifax, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver.
How do you ensure, I mean, it's a brand new league, so how do you ensure that your players are adequately paid and can make a go of it?
Well, we waited until we could ensure that we were able to provide that before we launched. Yeah, of course, we've been working in the background, setting up all the rules. You probably heard that our salary cap will be $1.5 million, and the minimum salary will be $50,000, which is still competitive in global women's sports. And then we have additional rules. We can have a marquee player outside of the cap. We have an allowance for housing and transportation. So we want to make sure that these women and people who play for our clubs are, you know, can be the superstars that Canadians want to see.
Gotcha. Sheldon, can you bring up this graphic at the bottom of page 2 here? This is the women's sports fandom in Canada. They did a survey, Canadians aged 13 to 65, and here's who loves this. 67% of Canadians are fans of women's sports, or so they say. 2 in 5 Canadians consider themselves avid fans. 53% of women's sports fans are men. 60% of fans think brands should support women's sports even more. Okay, Shireen, what do these numbers say to you?
I think they speak to the potential. And I think Canadian women in sport have been collecting data for a really long time, and that's something else that we need to keep in mind. There are people who've been collecting the data, which is important because it helps make those decisions and those informed decisions. So with the fact that there's opportunity for investment, people want women's sports. We already know what the product is. We know it's excellent. You've got record-breaking attendance records, viewership. We had over 100,000 Canadians watch the WNBA draft just to see one Canadian in the top 10 class, Elliot Edwards from Kingston, Ontario. There is so much momentum on YouTube. The PWHL playoffs, I heard 2 numbers on the YouTube alone. Either it was 40,000 and someone said no, it was closer to 100,000. And that's without a Toronto team in the playoffs. So, I mean, there's so much possibility. And if you go to these games and you see who's there, yes, there's young boys there. It's not just for the little girls. Yes, the players and the coaches and the officials are role models. The owners are role models. But they're for everybody. And those little boys will grow up as well and buy merch. They'll buy season tickets. I mean,
merch is what the cool kids call merchandise, right? Just okay, just so we're clear here. Good. Well, let me get Ella to follow up on that, because I don't think it's an exaggeration to say 25 or 35 years ago, if you were male, you might be a little embarrassed to acknowledge that you actually watched women's sports. It was considered not necessarily a cool thing to do. These numbers suggest that it may be the majority of people who watch women's sports and like women's sports are men. What do you infer from that?
Yeah, I think like Shireen mentioned, like when you look out in the stands during a game, you see a collective mix of both young girls and young boys. And I think for those young boys being there, it's the potential to see that their moms or their sisters can grow up and do these amazing things that they could do themselves or their dads have done or boys have done in the NHL or the MLB and all that, the other sports that are played. But I think being able to go out there, it's just knowing that your brothers support you and they're maybe not going to the NHL, but you are their NHL. You are the person that they are living vicariously through in these games. And just being able to go out there and see them, it just shows you how much support you do get from both sides.
Well, tell us about how it compares being a professional women's hockey player to being an Olympic hockey player, because you've had the Olympic experience, and I just wonder, which is more intense?
I feel like they're both very intense, respectively. I think on the national side of things, prior to this league, all we ever knew was playing against Team USA. So all the girls that on Team USA, like Kendall Coyne, Hillary Knight, Megan Keller, you kind of grew this, man, I hate playing against them because they're just so good. And then these past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to play alongside these athletes like Abby Rock, Alex Carpenter, Megan Keller, and getting to know them outside of the hockey world. You get to know them on a totally different level, and you have so much more respect for them as a female athlete as well. And they get to know you on a different level because at the end of the day, our sport is not what defines us. It is who you are as a person and what you bring to the table for this sport. And now that we have this competitive league, it's so much fun to go out there and play against them and experience those same feelings together. And then when you go to the national side, it's still professional, right? We get to go out there and we still get to compete hard and play hard against each other. But at the end of the day, we get to go have dinner together or get together and still be the good friends that we have created over the past couple of years.
Well, let me do one more quick follow-up with you on that, Ella, because, you know, again, in years past, it was always a truism that women's hockey didn't allow hitting. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, Ella. I watch women's hockey. You guys hit plenty. What's the story there?
Yeah.
I thought that wasn't allowed.
Yeah, in previous years they didn't allow the hitting, but this year in the PWHL they allowed for hitting. Now that doesn't mean that there's going to be open ice hits or big hits along, but it just allows us to play that more physical game that we're starting to see in the women's game. And let me tell you, it's been fun. I think for myself and a lot of girls, the style of play in our game is that fast and physical, and to be able to go out not necessarily having to worry about having a penalty always called against you is kind of settling for you to just go out and play your game, and then you figure out, I think our league is still figuring out the line between what's too far and what's okay. And obviously it's going to be a work in progress in your first year, and the patience factor has to be at the forefront of everybody's brain thinking about everything in our league. But I think say on behalf of the entire league that we were okay with the hitting.
Okay. Every time you say something, you prompt another question in my head, and that is, I know fighting's not allowed, but were there any fights this past season?
Not this past season. There wasn't necessarily any like fist fights that you see in the NHL. Were there tussles in front of the net? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Along the boards for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say an open fighting scene, no.
Okay. Coach, I want to ask you, again, I want to get back to this gender thing, because, you know, the notion that men would enjoy watching women's sports is relatively new. Do you see it in your life?
Yeah, it's been great. And I mean, it's just men kind of educating themselves. It is the visibility of sport. It is the fact that we have put women's sport out there and allowed the opportunity for people to see it and for men to see it. And I mean, even at our level in university sport, we have men walk up after games and say, I used to come to the men's game, but now I'm coming to the women's game too, or just to the women's game because I like it more. You have to see it. You have to educate yourself, and we're at that point now. So it's been fun to watch, and it's great to have a lot of the guys on board. We need them on board. We need everybody on board. And to the discussion earlier, I have a son. I want my son to grow up and see strong women. I want him to see that. I want him to respect that. And so I just think it's wonderful to see the diversity in the crowds at all these different sporting events.
I think people have finally figured out that talent is talent.
Absolutely.
But to that point, I mean, we've talked twice about how men are paying attention. I think we need to recenter the women, that women have always paid attention, and there are people who have supported women from get-go. So the fact that the foundations were laid by women and people who supported them, and that's really important to remember. I also have 3 sons, and at one point they can name every player on the women's senior soccer team, and I don't know if they could do that for the men's. And the same for the Canadian women's basketball team, because those women went to the Olympics consistently, but this year, the men are finally going after, and with the World Cup, after a long drought, the men made it. But in the interim, that's what we had to look to.
Yes, you carried the torch for a long time.
Well, so I mean, and I mean, even if you look at the results of the upcoming Olympics, the last Olympics, the majority of the medal winners for this country were women.
Correct
Vast
again.
majority. So,
well, tell me, this hasn't been a completely. The road hasn't been completely unbumpy along the way. And I'm going to ask you to speak to an incident that happened when Caitlin Clark had her initial press conference for, I guess, the Indiana Fever is the name of her team. And there was a bit of an odd exchange with a reporter, with a male reporter. Can you tell us what happened there?
yeah, absolutely. There was a reporter from the Indy Star who asked a question at her first presser, I believe. And one of the things is people who are in tune with women's sports, they're really committed. I mean, this might be a shock to people, but sports journalists don't get into women's sports for the fame and the money. They get in because they really believe in what's happening and they want to contribute in their own right. And the question was inappropriate.
What was the question?
The comment rather, because Caitlin Clark, from what I know, makes a very specific hand gesture to her family that she loves them. And there's many players.
It's a heart thing.
It's a heart thing.
Yeah.
So he made something like very casually of, well, as long as you do that with me, we're fine. So again, centering oneself, it's terrible journalistic ethos to center yourself in any question, but also to infer that you're casual enough and they cross so many boundaries. And believe me, Steve, that wouldn't have happened with the traditional WNBA reporters who are storied, who are experienced, who've been on the beat. The league has been around, and Teresa and I were talking about this before, for almost 3 decades. So just because you're new to it doesn't mean it's new.
Ella, let me get you to comment on this as well. In as much as I've never seen a female reporter do that kind of thing to a male athlete, so it is a bit odd for a male reporter to do that to a female athlete. Unless I'm wrong, have you ever seen that kind of thing before?
Yeah, I would say that we always get some weird questions here and there. And I think for us, we've done such a great job at being able to take in what they're saying and totally redirect what they're asking. I think often we get asked these questions about Hockey Canada scandals or like why we aren't getting paid as much as the men or all this stuff. And it's like, why do we have to compare it to that? Why don't we just focus on what we've done so far and what we still need to help us grow? And I don't know why we keep focusing on those little things, but to be able to go back and redirect it, I think we're taught in a way to kind of help us find new different directions to go. And I think that's why people enjoy talking to us, because we don't have to talk about the negatives all the time. We enjoy talking about the positives.
No, fair enough. But Helena, how much sexism do you still see in your daily life in sports?
Well, it's there, but like Ella and like Shireen, we like to redirect it. You know, it's sometimes, you know, to be honest, it eats at us in the, you know, if you add it all up. But you know, we have enough women and men and other folks who understand and that, you know. Yeah, and help us over that, yes. But these microaggressions, as I think, you know, that is like, you know, calling out Caitlin Clark and crossing personal boundaries on things like that. And yeah, to your points, that wouldn't have happened with a woman reporter. I haven't seen that being done.
I've never seen it
a
either.
man.
No, for sure. Sheldon, can you put this up here? This was on Instagram not too long ago. It was a quote from Billie Jean King, the tennis legend, who said, "I've waited my entire life for moments like this. Women's sports are now seen as an investment, not a charity."
Yeah, what an incredible statement to hear. I think when you think of Billie Jean King and all the work that she's done behind multiple leagues, so true what she's saying to us. I think now people are starting to see that the investment in women's sports is there. And I think that the movement that we've created it's just incredible. And to see so many women supporting women and leagues supporting leagues, it's hard not to think that this is a good investment. And I hope that people continue to invest in us. I think that we bring so much more energy to the game, and one thing I know fans really appreciate about us as women's athletes is the connection that they get to create between athletes and not just the sport itself. When we go to these signing autographs or we go to events with fans, they just get to know us on a different level, and the connection that we form from them is something that they carry on into every other women's sport. And I think that they're able to go, I really support her because she supports A, B, and C. And I think that's something that they love, that they know that who we are as people more than just the athlete. And I think that's something that they love. It's something that they can continue to connect with and a piece that they will always have.
Coach, is there still a perception that women's sports are somehow not economically viable still?
I think that still is out there, but hopefully we're changing it. And as you see these leagues grow, whether it's soccer, basketball, hockey, it's, it is a true investment now. It is a financially sound, financially smart decision to get involved. And I think those three sports in particular, and the realm of women's sport, but those three sports in particular rising at similar times, and there's this convergence of all of them arriving at this point. I think it's that creating that critical mass where investors are now going, whoa, there's something to this. And to Billie Jean King's point, it's not just being nice to the girls and let's let the girls have the court for half an hour and then we'll get back to real sport. This is the real deal now, and people with money are figuring that out, which is fantastic.
Ella, there was some absolutely amazing attendance records done by PWHL hockey games this past year. I don't know what the record was, but I think one game had 20,000 fans or something like that at a game. So what do you think the past season of PWHL hockey has done to the notion that women are really not economically viable?
Yeah, I mean, look, watching that game at the Bell Center was absolutely incredible to see them absolutely packed out. It was such a memory for all those players too, to think wow, look at the stage that we can play on. It just goes to show that we can go play on these stage, fill out these stands, and we have the support of fans behind us. So to go on to the following years, I think we've set ourselves a standard and a bar for what we can reach next year, and hopefully we surpass that bar and we continue to learn from what we got from this past year, and then going into the second and third and years to come, you just know that this is what happened in this year, and we have those tools in our toolbox to be successful.
Shireen, I don't know Larry Tannenbaum as well as you do, but and this is the guy who owns part of the Leafs, the Raptors, the Argos, the new WNBA franchise, TFC, right, men's soccer. He doesn't seem to me to be the kind of guy who's going to put millions of dollars into a charity that he doesn't think is going to pay back at the end of the day. Fair to say?
Absolutely, and I think that's a really important point that I was trying to make, was that he's a very sound businessman. He wouldn't do this, and I don't know him personally. Let me just clarify that. Reporting on someone is a little bit different than going to their house for coffee.
You probably met him more times than I have, though.
But, the reality is that it is a business, but the point is it did take leadership, and Helena spoke about that. It takes one person to say, I'm going to do this, because for some reason, Canadian investors are a little more conservative and a little more timid to jump fully. He completely took a dive off the cliff and said, I'm doing this, but not without having research, knowing Teresa Rush, president of the league, WNBA Toronto team, was sound. It will be really interesting to see what kind of team they put to somebody with this success, and also looking around and seeing what's happening and seeing the sort of the cohesion of the different leagues communicating with each other and supporting each other, which they do, I know for a fact.
Ella, I got to ask you, when are we going to see some nicknames for the PWHL teams?
Great question. I have been asked this so many times because people just want to have a name to associate our teams with, but we kind of I have no idea what the league's planning on doing with names. Maybe there's some rumblings that they'll have something for us in the following years, but sticking with just PWHL New York just sounds very suiting for us right now, and hopefully they come up with a really cool name to fit at the end.
I have a cool name, but I want to hear your suggestion first.
Yeah?
What do you want your team to be called?
Well, we can't do the New York Liberty. I mean, that'd be pretty cool too, but the WNBA has that one. My next thought was definitely the New York Empire. I feel like it's another building there that would be a monumental piece to add to our name. For fun, I think one thing that our fans have really brought to us, and we just kind of really embraced, is the Pizza Rats. Two staple things in New York. So it's been fun to see the jerseys and the t-shirts that fans will hand us and it's just got like this pizza and a rat on it, and it's just a really cute photo for us, but I don't think that would ever accumulate to our team name.
You know, okay, I may be crazy here, but it seems to me that you know, women's sports often have cooler and more interesting names than men's sports. And I thought, wait for it here, folks, I thought New York State of Mind would be a neat name for a team. And can you imagine blasting that song every time you took the ice? Is it Alicia Keys who sings that song? I think that'd be amazing. Anyway, there it is, free of charge for what you want. What are they going to call the WNBA team here in Toronto?
I'm hearing everything from towers to this. I don't know, but I do know that Teresa Resch spoke out, the team president, the franchise president, that they would be actually serving community and fans, which is fantastic. Toronto is so invested. All of Canada is so invested. So they'll be looking for ideas, suggestions, and so I'll also be keeping my eye out on some of the ideas that come out.
What, you got an idea for the WNBA team here?
I'm not throwing one out right now.
No?
But, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us here on TVO tonight. That was lots of, you know, this is a wonderful departure from the normal death and destruction we cover on this program a lot. So Ella Shelton, good luck, but not too much luck to your team in New York next year. Too bad for Toronto this year. Teresa Burns, Shireen Ahmed, Helena Rukin. Great to have you alongside as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mute swans are iconic species, and they are really beloved by people and have been for centuries. They're the subjects of myth and art.
They're majestic. They're the largest bird. They have a grace on the water.
The Mute Swan Society is really a community of volunteers who care about mute swans and want to advocate for their right to exist in our wetlands. They are large white birds, water birds. They have orange beaks. That's really their adult form. When they hatch as cygnets, the babies are called cygnets, they're little fluffy gray balls. And as they grow up and become juveniles, they still have some gray or brown feathers. They're just juvenile mute swans. And contrary to their name, they are not mute. So they do honk, they do kind of bark, they have calls to each other, and they can even sometimes purr. It's quite amazing. Mute swans get to 22 to 26 pounds. The females are lighter than the males. They have a 6 or 7 foot wingspan. And in the wild, their average life expectancy is about 11 years. They eat what's called subaquatic vegetation, or short form SAV, and so that will be reeds, that will be other underwater plants, and they access them by what's called dabbling or upending, so they can go down in the water and feed at a deeper rate than other animals, as a for instance. That's their diet. Humans brought mute swans to North America from Europe and Eurasia, and they were brought originally for really ornamental or decorative purposes. So they were kept on large estates or ponds because they're beautiful birds, and there were very few of them. In addition, partly because of their association with the monarchy in the UK, different monarchs, including the late Queen Elizabeth, gifted a number of mute swans to Canada during her lifetime. And then over time, some of those swans escaped, became feral, and they have now nested in the wild in Ontario for 66 years, or 18 generations. So they're considered now a naturalized species. We're here looking at one nesting swan, and she probably won't even stand up. Normally when she's incubating, she would stand up to rotate her eggs so that they heat and develop evenly, but she won't in the rain because she doesn't want them to get wet. And you'll see she's even drinking some water off her feathers, because when she's incubating, she'll rarely leave the nest even to eat or drink. So this is a little bit of respite, and she can have a drink. And then behind her on the other side is the cob, the male, the father. And his job right now is to protect her and the nest. And she has 2 eggs. So he'll be patrolling the territory to make sure no other swans come in and compete with them. I would estimate that in Ontario now we probably have 6,000 to 8,000 mute swans. The last and most robust count of them happened in 2017. When 4,103 were counted in the lower Great Lakes. And that's important because they really don't have much range or distribution in the northern parts of Ontario. They do tend to be urban and lower Great Lakes wetlands birds. They are increasing in certain areas of Ontario. I think about Prince Edward County and Lake St. Clair and the Detroit River, but they've actually been declining inland, and in the Greater Toronto Hamilton area, declining or stable population. Mute swan management, which sounds pretty benign, actually involves the killing of the mute swan eggs, destruction of their nests, and on federal and private property can also involve killing adult and juvenile mute swans. So as to the eggs and nests, the eggs can be destroyed in a number of ways. One, they could be coated in oil, and that oil prevents oxygen going through the shell, so the cygnets can't develop without that oxygen and they die. The eggs could be punctured, or the eggs could be what's called addled, which is shaking them, which also prevents the cygnets developing. The reason they do that is once they've destroyed the eggs, they put it back in the nest, they put them back in the nest, and the mother swan, the female swans are called pens, will continue to incubate them thinking that they will hatch. And that prevents her from re-nesting. In time, the conservation authorities or municipalities or wildlife agencies will come and take the eggs and destroy the nest. But that's how eggs and nests are destroyed, to prevent them from increasing in population. The sad thing is they do have 2 eggs, but they've already been oiled, so she doesn't know she's sitting on dead eggs. There are a number of conceptions about mute swans that have led to management efforts, these mute swan management efforts in Canada, and in fact across the Atlantic flyway. It's said that they could outcompete native and preferred or endangered and threatened water birds, perhaps by overgrazing or chasing them out of territory. And there's also claims that they can be aggressive, whether that's towards humans or other water birds. But those are really exaggerations, and the evidence does not support those claims. That being said, management has been in place for about 20 years. Trumpeter swans are considered native, and they are native to parts of Ontario. They're actually not a native nesting species as far south as they're now being encouraged to nest, which would include places like Burlington and Toronto and those sorts of urban environments. They've been reintroduced because they were nearly extirpated, which means local extinction, 100-ish years ago, late 1800s, early 1900s, due to overhunting, largely for their feathers. So we humans hunted them to nearly extinction in Ontario. And a gentleman named Harry Lumsden in the 1980s onwards led a program to reintroduce them. And it's been exciting to see that recovery. And we love all swans, so we celebrate that reintroduction and their success. They've been a self-sustaining species since 2008. But we note that if they have the same diet, largely the same attributes and behaviors, how is it that we're very, very pleased to have trumpeters growing at the rate that they are, which is now double or triple the rate of mute swan increases over the last 20 years, and yet we portray the same behaviors in mute swans as destructive to the environment. So we really see trumpeters as the example of mutes not being these ecosystem destroyers that they're sometimes claimed to be, because if that were the case, we wouldn't want so many trumpeters to thrive, and we do.
Hey, Dad Swan. My name is Dana Stratton, and I'm a volunteer for the Mute Swan Society. I got involved with the Mute Swan Society actually after I moved down close to the lake. I would go for walks and see the beautiful swans down in the lake. I've never been so close to them. I watched the swans have 6 cygnets and watched them grow. And fast forward a year, I started being interested in the swans and doing a little bit of research on them. And I saw on social media a post about the eggs being oiled. I was absolutely appalled by that, and so I started to research a little bit more about the mute swans. Volunteering entails checking on the nests, checking on the swans in the area to make sure that there are no injuries. If somebody calls in and is concerned about a swan, I will go down to the zone to check it out before we call in for help if that's necessary. I've also worked with Toronto Wildlife to rescue a swan, to make sure the swan was okay, help them actually take the swan out of the water, which was exciting, and they were able to take her back to their facility to make sure she was good, and then was able to help them release the swan back.
Canada lists the mute swan as an introduced and invasive species. They're protected under Canada's Migratory Birds Convention Act. However, the federal government manages their population in cooperation with regional wildlife organizations. TVO reached out to the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. This is their statement. The mute swan was introduced to North American parks and zoos by European settlers in the 1870s. These swans then escaped and began inhabiting natural areas. Mute swans are harmful to wetlands because they outcompete native birds for food and nesting areas, placing a significant strain on the small number of local wetlands that may already be experiencing other urban stressors. A management program has been established to lessen the mute swans' impact on wetlands by controlling their population growth. This is done carefully and humanely by treating young eggs with mineral oil, which prevents the eggs from developing and prevents the mother from renesting. Once the renesting season has passed, nests are removed so that the adult birds leave the area. Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, TRCA, operates this program with support from the Canadian Wildlife Service.
Quinn Malott, Parks, Forestry and Cemetery Manager for the City of Stratford. Part of our portfolio is the swan herd in Stratford. We take care of them through the winter. We have a winter quarters where we bring them in, where we have a sheltered area and a pond where we kept them fed. We keep an eye on them on the river in the summer when we let them out. Some of the questions we get about mute swans are, how many we have, where are they sometimes, because they get in behind these coves, they go over to the golf course at night, they get into the bush. So sometimes you can drive around the river and you won't even see the swans, right? But a lot of times they're in the main river, and they're very visible for visitors and locals alike. We try to discourage people from feeding the swans. It attracts other fowl, like the geese and the ducks, to herd around where the feed is. So we're trying to avoid that contact. We had the avian flu a few years ago, and we did actually lose some swans to that. So we try to avoid that population mixing with the swans. I mean, they do anyway, but if you're feeding them, it's a very tight quarters. So the City of Stratford owns the swans, but and they're permitted swans. So we get a permit from Environment Canada and Climate Change to have a permit to own swans, and then it's governed by the Ontario Wildlife, and then we manage the swans through them. They have to know how many we have, how many we sell, how many we buy, where they're located. If we have to move a swan to another location, we have to do an amendment to our permit to let them know. So they have an idea where all our swans are, how many we have, when we're buying, when we're selling, and we can only sell to other permit holders. So we have 2 pairs nesting. Both are on outlying waters. We've had swans on the river since 1938. It was an entrepreneur from a Kellogg's plant in Battle Creek, Michigan. He was an executive, and he had come to Stratford and enjoyed the setting and saw the setting and thought it'd be great to have a mated pair of swans on the river, and he donated them. Under the permit, we have to pinion our cygnets at 7 to 10 days old. So once we put them on the river, They can fly, but they can't get migratory flight, right? They can't fly. They wouldn't fly to Kentucky and back. They can, you know, fly around the river a little bit and escape predators a little bit, but they're not a migratory flighting bird. When a cygnet's about 7 to 10 days old, you just have to clip a piece of the wing just to so the growth would be offset to the other wing. The first Sunday in April every year, we release the swans onto the river. We have to get them down to the river anyway, so we walk them down. We try to make it a little bit of a community event. It's actually gotten larger than we've expected. It's just to get the community out to watch the swans walk onto the river, and it's kind of the official start of spring here in Stratford. The mute swan isn't indigenous to Canada. That's why they're managed. That's why they're a managed bird, because they're not an indigenous species. So to be an invasive species, I would think it would have to be overpopulation, right? We're not having that problem here, and that's why they're managed. I understand in some parts of Canada there is an issue with overpopulation of the mute swan, but I don't think we're finding that here in Ontario.
I moved here in 2008. I actually vacationed here, and I saw what Stratford was, the beauty. It's a postcard town. Like, if you're a photographer, you see potential postcards everywhere. I've been taking photos since 2008. I think they're majestic, and they're the largest bird on the river, and so they're going to get that kind of attention. It's certainly one of the draws that brings people from outlying areas. Neighboring towns, they'll come for the parks, and they hope to see the swans. Maybe they'll picnic, and then we'll get tourists from the UK and further for the theater, and then of course they'll see the swans and they'll appreciate them. There's a lot of talent in Stratford for video, for photography, and many times I'll post on social media on my own timelines, and then I'll post in Stratford groups as well. And they're well received because people love seeing the swans. Understanding their behavior gets you the good shots, really. When they preen, and you know that eventually they're going to stretch their wings out, and then that's an opportunity, for example. Preening itself is a great example, and so there's a lot of great shots to be had if you know their behaviors, because then you can anticipate. It was along this bank in 2013, and there was a mated pair called Charles and Margaret, or Charlie and Maggie, and I was walking along, and I had a lens similar to like I have now, and there was 2 cygnets that were on Mom's back on the ground, and they looked up at Mom, and Mom, you know, their long neck, and so the beak was like this, and the cygnets were looking up, and I just happened to snap off 2 very quick shots, and I love them, and they've been well received. It's actually a very tender moment of cygnets looking up at Mom.
I want people to understand how friendly they are and how they have such unique personalities, and how family-oriented they are.
If you come to know them, they're really amazingly friendly birds. They will recognize you, they do come to trust you, and come and show you their cygnets, which is such an honor.
Oh, look at that plant. I love it.
Student scientists at Carleton University are on the hunt for a solution. For the past 2 years, they've been wandering parts of the Ottawa area, turning over rocks and walking along waterways in hopes of collecting the perfect soil sample.
We're actually right beside a groundhog hole. There's some nice moss and other plant life in the area, and right on the banks of the river.
Students like Carly aren't interested in the dirt itself, but rather the millions of bacteria that live in it. Bacteria are all around us. These tiny microorganisms can't be seen with the naked eye, yet they can make us extremely sick. However, some bacteria produce antibiotics that can fight off infection.
So make sure you don't touch the ends of the spatulas again.
Students at Carleton are hoping to discover new bacteria to help fight a growing concern in public health: antibiotic resistance.
Antimicrobial resistance is really when these antibiotics or antimicrobials that we have don't work anymore. It kind of works just through natural evolution, where the bacteria or the other microorganisms, they will adapt to their environment. And so if we continuously expose them to different antibiotics, for example, we're creating an environment that will allow them essentially to adapt.
Laura Paikin is an instructor at Carleton University's Department of Health Sciences. With the help of student scientists, she's helping to discover new antibiotics in an untapped resource.
We know that most of the antibiotics that we have are actually naturally derived from microorganisms, and most of which actually we find in the soil. And so the strategies that we've always used in the past has been to try to find bacteria that live in different environments that naturally produce antibiotics, and we try to sort of discover them and find new ones that might work against the resistant bacteria.
According to Paikin, many pharmaceutical companies are no longer interested in antibiotic research because it's not a profitable venture.
Because it takes up to a decade to fully develop antibiotic through the pipeline, as well as millions and millions of dollars, and in the end there might be just a few people, like a small proportion of people who we're going to give these antibiotics to. These companies are not going to make their money back, and so there's been a huge disinvestment in industry in terms of developing these new antibiotics, and a lot of it has been left then to academia.
According to the World Health Organization, antimicrobial resistance is one of the top global public health threats. At the World Economic Forum, it was predicted that antibiotic resistance could kill 10 million people annually by 2050. We often hear about the misuse and overuse of antibiotics within the healthcare system, but human patients aren't the only driver of antibiotic resistance.
But we also find it in agriculture, particularly the animal for food production. It allows these resistant microorganisms to grow within our food systems. It trickles into our water, and then we consume or we come into contact with animals that might carry these various resistant microorganisms. So the World Health Organization has predicted that if we don't do something about this crisis that we are in, and it's considered a global health crisis, that in a couple of decades, that the most prominent cause of death in humans is going to be these resistant strains.
The problem is especially alarming since some of the most well-known bacteria are now becoming resistant to antibiotics.
So tuberculosis is an example of that, where we have these extreme drug-resistant forms that are coming out that we actually have no antibiotics against at all. So we really need to work on solving this problem.
Anil Galapudi is a laboratory coordinator at Carleton University who works with the student scientists to grow the bacteria they've unearthed.
Basically, this is the media that supports the growth of the bacteria. So we grow the bacteria in the lab on a media in these plates called Petri dishes.
Paikin and Galapudi are part of a global project known as the Tiny Earth Initiative. The program has two goals: help solve the antibiotic resistance crisis by discovering antibiotics in soil bacteria, and help give students authentic research experience.
Tiny Earth is an international collaborative. It was started by Dr. Jo Handelsman, who is a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And she saw this really great resource that we have that we could tap into to help solve this problem, which is our thousands and thousands of undergraduate students across the world who are really eager to get into research and to participate in solving a lot of these problems. We could really increase our chances of finding new antibiotics, as well as getting young students early in their scientific careers to really engage with research, and authentic type of research where they get to take ownership of their own projects.
So this is probably one of the few labs where you're doing an entire big project over the entire semester. So using my soil sample, which is what I carried on with through the entire 9 weeks, we do various tests.
The test only needs 1 gram of soil, which can contain 1 million bacteria. The first step is diluting the soil samples with a saline solution. Then, the solution is spread onto petri dishes where the bacteria will grow into colonies. The colonies are then tested to see if they can produce an antibiotic that will inhibit other types of bacteria.
And then they're going to test it against some known microorganisms to see if they can inhibit growth of that bacteria. They'll spread another plate of petri dish full of agar with a known type of bacteria. They're known as escape pathogens that have been named by the WHO as the ones that are posing the greatest risk to us. The students will take the bacteria that they've isolated from their soil, they will put it on that plate, and then they will see if it can actually stop the growth of those escape-safe cousins.
And you can see here there's a clear zone where you don't see any bacterial growth around the antibiotic. So the antibiotic basically is not allowing the growth of the bacteria in its vicinity. So that makes this particular antibiotic effective against this particular bacteria. In this case, it's E. coli.
Once the students have successfully identified a promising bacteria, they will continue running tests, documenting their findings, and inputting them into the Tiny Earth database with the hope that it will be developed into antibiotic medications.
I think that was probably my favorite part about this lab. It's that it's not just a lab where you have a lab protocol, follow through, and then the next day it's something else. This was a lab where you actually had control and you could do a particular test several times if you needed to, and to know that you'll actually have you're playing a role in potentially making something really helpful for the world. I think that not only puts a sense of responsibility but also a sense of pride, because you know that you're doing this for a good cause and not just for grades.
We certainly hope that we can identify new antibiotics to get into the pipeline to solve this problem, and to continue doing so that we can always try to stay one step ahead of the bacteria who are evolving so quickly. And then on the other hand, the hope is that we can really improve the diversity and retention of students in sciences, so that they will, continue on, and they're our future in terms of developing and solving these big problems of today.
Next week on the agenda.
Trying to keep these festivals as sustainable as possible is very, very important. And also it increases the participation of people who want to come, because especially young audiences really want to come to festivals that they know are going to be as green as possible.
That's next week on the agenda.